It's the Isengard campaign part 11. And last time we held off an attack from Endwaith and a couple from Rohan as well, generally securing our territory, especially the area around Edoras. And now we're in a good situation, we're at peace with Endwaith, and we've got an army going on the offensive against Rohan. We need to take down this half stack of troops garrisoned at Dunlostir. We had an easy time going to open the gates because the enemy have just put everything on their capture point in the middle of the map there in a huge blob. But after a while they did start moving and the battle begins. They're sending their cav towards the gates. And that's fine by me because I can immediately push forward spear units to fight them, and now we'll take a nice favourable trade. Our spear guard will annihilate these scouts. If it was just the scouts that would be okay, but the issue we'll have is that we don't take them out before they decide to send everything else in. You can see them coming in up the road there. So that fight's going to evolve into a massive brawl. Things aren't going to be looking that much better on the other side of town where my other main push is coming in. Because also the AI just charged out to attack. They were a bit better here though. They actually sent groups down different roads and have attacked me from 3 sides here just inside the gatehouse. Nasty stuff, and in particular they do have one really good unit, the Guards of Meduseld or something. Basically a unit that far outclasses anything we have, and they're slowly breaking through my pikes, who so far have done a good job of holding the enemy's cav off, but now those pikes are doomed essentially. They're too slow to escape. So we'll just have to let them die. The main thing I was doing was trying to micro my archers to thin these blobs out. But the walls make it hard to actually get the line of sight going, and generally this didn't achieve much, especially with our uruk archers, who, as we've said many times in this series, do suck even if they can hit things. Eventually I started sending some of my good archers, the beast slayers, to go via an alternate route towards the capture point to get behind the enemy. We also defeated one of the enemy's attacking groups over here on the south side of town. And again we can do some shenanigans sending troops to go down other routes. We still though have the issue that we aren't really killing any of these guards or whatever it is. They're killing us, and we still don't have an answer. Well, one answer is to just go around them, and I suppose that's what's going on elsewhere. I try to shoot some arrows into the back of them, but this does nothing. I suppose I should have expected this. The uruk archers can't really kill regular units. Units with high armor like these guys are just going to be invincible. And they do defeat the unit in front of them and then come to attack my archers soon after that. I'm just going to run away for now. Elsewhere, a similar plan going on with these beast slayers. The enemy put some militia on the capture point as I arrived. So now I'm standing here and shooting them. Again, it's surprisingly bad. You can get a lot of shots even into the back of enemies and they just don't die to this. But we will pick up some kills with this method at least. The uruk archers are still trying against these guards. I've got another unit or 2 units fighting them from the front now. And maybe we picked up 1 kill or something there? Not quite sure. Very occasionally we do kill one of them. It's not the end of the world because this is a settlement assault. We can still win by taking the capture point, so we can just kill everything else and then ignore the guards later on. We've almost won our big blobby melee on the other side of town. I was hoping to get these beast slayers to file past those militia and do a rear attack, but since that's not really needed and since the militia did try to stop me, that's not going to be happening. In the end, the blob is victorious. We took heavy losses, but we fought our way to the capture point, killing all the various misc in the way. And now we just have to take down those militia, and we'll own the capture point, meaning in the top right, we've got a victory timer. Those militia eventually die, there we have it. And now we just have to wait another 3 minutes and we'll win. We do also need to stop those guards coming back to the capture point as well. So, as these folk celebrate, other folk will just be dying in order to keep the enemy distracted. We've lost 2 more units fighting against them here on that corner. Now I'm going to send those archers in to just make this pointless melee attack. All they have to do is make the enemy stand here for 3 minutes. We're going to take severe losses, but that's just the way it is. I guess I don't really care about these archers because they're just not very good. They're pretty good as sacrifices, maybe. Eventually, we done it, but we did lose half our army to done it. That's going to slightly impact our momentum. We can't just go on with a full stack and do something else now because we only have a half stack and some of it needs to stay here anyway for public order purposes. We'll do some sacking to help out with that as well, and there we have it. Get some free money because that was a mission apparently. The nice thing about this territory is that it's gigantic and quite rich. Definitely needs those roads set up because of its size. But anyway, yes, it now looks like our realm's much bigger because we've taken this huge area, and with the money that's coming in, we have non-negligible income. We can make like a building, or maybe even 2 buildings every turn if we don't recruit something. Rohan now have abysmal relations with us. I think they might have realized we're trying to genocide them at this point, which is a shame. I guess we're leaving the taxpayers alive, so that's something. Mordor might not do that. Anyway, as for Saruman's mission off in the east, you might remember I set him up ready to advance towards the next Rohan settlements just to his north. The thing is, I had to hack through a few small enemy armies, and we got a lot of losses there in the auto-resolve, losing a few hundred troops. And then I realised, well, we actually can't really do this. There's a massive army at the settlement we're going for, and our army just got cut down to size. It was already not all that sizable because it's the same one that did all the stuff fighting around Edoras, meaning we really can't just plough on and do this the OffiD way. I decided to make a revolutionary move and just go backwards for once. We're going to sit on this bridge and wait for stuff to show up. Waiting around at this point in the campaign does give us some sort of advantage because we make some money. That means we can make some buildings, which will cause us to make more money. We can finally begin to start climbing up the economic tree, beginning the positive feedback loop, where our kingdom will become nice and powerful over time. Plus, as mentioned previously in this series, we can eventually unlock better units if I can get the buildings to do so. So that's my treatise for not bothering to fight the enemy for a bit. However, they're coming to fight me, so we are going to still have some engagements to go through. Here, not so much actually. I wanted to fight these 2 small armies separately, but one retreated and one was just out of movement points in front of us, so nothing happened. My army at Dunlostir is going to be essentially combined into Saruman's force. I realise there's no point having these 2 small armies split up. Might as well get the survivors from both forces together so we have something substantial. Again, I thought that was a chance to initiate the battles down here with Saruman, but we ran out of movement points, so nothing happens. Here we are in the next turn. The situation has slightly changed because the enemy moved their big army from their settlement down over towards the crossing Saruman was guarding, so something is brewing here. We can clear a path using our reinforcement army and successfully combine it into the main force, so we're all together. Then I hack to the south through that small army and get another really bad auto-resolve where we take far too many losses. Someone was saying, a few people actually, that Isengard generally gets good auto-resolves, but we've had a few bad ones recently, so we're not all that strong. But we can sit on this river crossing, meaning the enemy's big stack probably can't get past us. And actually, they don't try. They walk up to us and just stand there. So here we are at the start of the next turn. The main issue actually is that that small army to the northwest looks like it's going towards Dunlostir, and we don't have much to defend it right now. As for Saruman's situation, we can ignore the army in front of him because Eomer has snuck around via the bridge to the east and is behind us, Eomer being a top level commander and the prince, I think, of Rohan, some sort of prince of Rohan. So, he's on his own here. For some reason, I'm just going to commit the entire army to fight him, and if we do this in a manual resolve, we might be able to actually kill him. That will be a nice propaganda victory. I started off by shooting some arrows towards him. He was set up on top of a hill, and the issue is he's slightly close to the edge of the map, so we want to aggro him towards me, meaning that while these arrows don't really do anything, it eventually takes away a hit point on one of the models, and that aggroes the unit to attack us. Now they'll come over here and be slightly easier to prevent leaving the battlefield. Obviously the plan is to just use our massive numbers to make a ring around him to make it hard for him to leave. However, before I completed the ring, he did disengage from the first unit he attacked and came back here to attack these wargs. Not really a big deal because the wargs are blocking his line of escape, but the wargs also aren't very good, and he's sort of getting out here. You can see they keep repositioning and thus end up almost outside of our encirclement. I have to quickly reposition everything to re-encircle them, and we do that successfully, and many of the guards are then killed in the subsequent grinding melee. Plus, we can do things like this. Saruman shoots crossbows into the back of the enemy unit, does surprisingly little actually, but maybe a few volleys will get us some results out of that. However, the last few survivors actually disengage again. They run past Saruman into these raiders, and they appear to be trying to go further. However, a massive volley of arrows and friendly fire takes out a lot of them right there. So at this moment, Looks like Eomer and one guard had the chance to escape, but they actually came back into the fight, and I guess this is a lesson that you really should live to fight another day rather than just stay behind and keep fighting. The enemy's high morale means they actually never routed during the battle. My fears of them fleeing were in vain. We didn't need to worry about that at all. This guy is too quote-unquote brave, so he successfully dies. A nice victory. But right after, I started to appreciate that we're actually in not a very good situation really. That small force can take Oldburg if it wants to. The guys going towards Dunlostir can take that place if they want to. We need to split up and actually try to secure our realm a bit better. So, all of the reinforcements who were coming to join Saruman's force will instead join this new offshoot army, which is going to go down, secure Oldburg, and then secure the bridge to the north. Meanwhile, Saruman goes to stand on the river crossing again, thus checking the advance of that big stack, at least across this river crossing. Dunlostir is a bit more difficult to deal with, but we'll see something's going to help us out with that in a sec. I had a mission to get diplomatic contact with some dwarves at the top of the map, and I actually got an alliance with them, which isn't really of any help, but it's nice adding to my roster of good side allies. Anyway, doing that completes a mission, which gave me 2 free units of cav. We're going to throw them into this reinforcement army, which will now head to Dunlostir and be their next turn to help out. Here we are, arriving next turn. As you can see, the siege I was fearing has started, so we've arrived in time, but we actually don't quite have enough points to attack them right now, which is what I was going for. We can stand next to the city, so if there's an assault, we'll have some substantial reinforcements. Now down near the river crossing, the big army's gone away. You can see it up to the top left. Well, you can't anymore. The big army is going towards Dunlostir, basically. However, while I need to go after them, I get a bit distracted fighting all these small armies. The army that was going for Oldburg is now here. It turns out it was hidden in the trees next to that one unit I just killed. So, me and the Oldburg defense army are together clearing this area out. We push them back across the river. Then I decided to combine these forces and have almost everything be in Saruman's army. And this army will now push towards Dunlostir, basically. On the way, another small ambush. Some more guys were hidden on the other side of the river. We're getting some better auto-resolves this time though, so as we gradually hack our way through these small groups, our army's still intact, we're good to go. That was an annoying retreat from the enemy. They retreated back to the other side of the river, so I have to go and kill them, otherwise they might actually go and start taking Oldburg or things like that. But we've used all our movement and we haven't actually moved this turn. We're still back where we started, whereas the enemy big stack can now move all the way to Dunlostir, and we're going to be 2 turns away with our main force if we need to go and send it up there. Overall annoying. I did decide to also do the thing about securing the bridge north of Oldburg, because if we have stuff there, we'll finally have our territory, hopefully, empty of small Rohan armies that are constantly threatening us. Now, in the Rohan turn, their big army does go to Dunlostir. Interestingly though, it attacks this one unit that was trailing behind my reinforcements. That's kind of good because it means we avoid a more decisive battle where they could fight my actual reinforcement group. I retreat and draw them a bit away. Looked like maybe they ran out of movement points there, but they do attack me again. We're just going to auto-resolve this attack because there's nothing we can do, although I'm still checking out their numbers as if maybe there's some sort of exploit I can pull off. We lose half our men, and then the remaining half go back over to the town. Overall, that was fine. The enemy didn't clear out the defenders near Dunlostir, and then, right at the end, the force besieging the town lifted the siege, tried to move, and walked into the zone of control of the guys who just retreated, meaning the siege is over and their army didn't do anything this turn. Overall then, that was alright, and now that we have a chance to respond, we can improve that situation. There's a small army that looks like it's going for Edoras, so I'm going to send some troops from Hornburg to go and reinforce. They'll arrive next turn and we'll be able to relieve a siege if there is one. Meanwhile at Dunlostir, we can fight the original besieging army. We'll just ignore the big stack for now. Since we can't challenge them, we'll worry about that later. But this is a challenge we can take on. It's just a few units and the chance to kill a general, so it all looks good. Our army's not very good because it's got tons of Dunlending Cav who can't really do very much at all. Still, might as well give this a go. I'm going to even take out the archers from the town and go for this. We do have the advantage on the balance bar, however I don't feel like auto-resolving this one. Let's try and have some survivors because there's certainly more fighting to be done. I started off shooting some arrows at these scouts over here, which doesn't do very much. I was seeing if I could aggro them to come and attack me and run into my pike wall. But after not much was happening, I thought, well, we might as well walk a bit closer and try to fight on the edge of that cliff between us and where the enemy's infantry are. As I move though, boom, the enemy show up. This is the danger of playing on 6 times speed. The scouts rush in and actually get a nice charge on my Uruk raiders before I have time to do anything. So well played from the AI, they noticed that I wasn't paying enough attention. Now though, the scouts will be in trouble, because while they picked up a load of kills on their charge, they can't win the melee and we're slowly surrounding them. However, the other stuff is now aggroing in and this battle is just going to get started. The main thing that we need to deal with in this fight is their general's bodyguard. We don't have a good way of dealing with it, with nothing like spear guard, no high quality spear units to throw against them. The one thing I didn't want to do was fight them with my Dunlending Cav, and here you can see we get 2 units of Dunlending Cav into combat with them, both of them on the flank and rear. Very bad, and on the unit cards you can see their numbers start dropping very fast. Dunlending Cav are so much worse than the Rohan Cav, and especially worse than General's bodyguards. So, bad news, however, at least they're stuck there now, so we can start moving in more things to engage. The enemy's infantry climb up the cliffs, and now the infantry fights will be okay, because our raiders can take down their militia. Their other unit was farmhand pikes or something, so just need to fight them in the flank. Got some berserkers too, who will make short work of any enemy infantry units. Now it's time for some cav tactics, stuff we very rarely do in this campaign because we rarely use cav at all, but we need to start doing hammer and anvil to clear the enemy out. Most of the general's bodyguards have died fighting the miscellaneous things they got stuck in against, and here we get a nice charge onto the flank of the pikes which routs them, then the berserkers will just annihilate them from the front. We've won this battle really, the militia just need to be tempted to leave with a quick attack. The main thing we need to do actually is hunt down the general. Once everything's routing, I say continue battle because the general is still alive, and then pause the game. We need to know where he is. It was kind of hard to tell, but he was eventually found somewhere in amongst my troops over here for some reason. Looks like he's on the verge of dying, but they have many hit points, so these hit animations don't mean much. We need to go after him with everything. All the other things don't matter at all. The problem is he's on a horse and most of our stuff isn't, except for these guys. Can we get in the way of him and block his escape? It looks like we can. I order an attack, however, it's not that easy. He just turns around and leaves again. My horsemen are dumbfounded by this. And it turns out that his horse is faster than ours, even though we're a light cavalry unit, so we didn't catch up to him as he ran to the other side of the map. That's a shame. So their general has survived, and now we can look at the ridiculously slow moving away animation. Let's all appreciate that this is the default speed for animations on the campaign map. This is what the developers intended you to do. You're supposed to watch them gradually walking away, step by step, almost in slow motion. Maybe we're supposed to be appreciating the enemy's humiliation or something, but really this isn't very good gameplay, I will say. A nice thing about this is you can still hear them walking about in the fog of war, so if you listen real closely you can actually work out roughly where the army stopped, because it changes volume based on how close the centre of the view is to where they are. Very nice, although also completely useless. Now with that battle won, the survivors on our side go back inside the town, and we'll just wait to see what the big enemy stack does. Our big stack is going to come over and help. Now, we're going to ignore the fact that there are still some small, annoying Rohan armies in front of us there. We'll just leave them to it and try to defend against any attacks that might happen using our own little scrabby stacks we're building up around the place, while Saruman goes to try and find the main showdown. More diplomacy here. Another ally for us. We're doing well diplomatically. We're now allied to the Dunedain, that's Aragorn's faction. And the only reason I was talking to them is because this was, again, a mission. So this grants us some more free units. Just shot past the Rohan turn there, didn't show us anything happening, but stuff did happen, the game just doesn't care about that for some reason. Here are those free units, 2 more Dunlending horseman squads. Not very good, but might as well throw them into our frontline forces, because they can move far per turn, so they're easy to use as reinforcements. Anyway, as you can see, the big army near Dunluster has moved south towards my big army, which is perfect. It seems the AI is interested in going for a decisive battle, and we're going to oblige. We can even help out. We can move all of the stuff from Dunluster down to be behind their army. Now we can reinforce Saruman from the south with stuff coming from Helm's Deep. And bang, we have a massive force to challenge the Rohan army with. They get out of the way, but they can't quite move far enough. We can just reach them on the edge of our movement and still trigger this battle, also still with our reinforcements. Because we have a full stack, in our leading army. In this fight, we actually need to use the AI feature where you let the AI control your reinforcements. Looks like the enemy army is just trash, by the way, upgraded trash with experience and armor upgrades, but trash all the same. So yes, we turn on the ally being controlled by the AI and now hope they don't do anything too stupid with those troops. Then again, those troops are somewhat disposable, so it doesn't matter too much. And here we go with the fight. The AI is setting up on a hill over here and not doing very much. I've set up nearer to the enemy in arrow range, and this gets things started as they decide to throw some things at our front line. It's all horse archers and jav cav, so we don't need to do anything, in theory at least. We should just stand here and shoot arrows back at them, and with our massed foot ranks of archers, that should be enough to win if we can hit them and if we can kill them, which we mostly can't, but still, the idea is there. They annoyingly go into loose formation, which is really quite effective, but will theoretically be taking a winning engagement if we just sit here and do nothing, and I do like any excuse to do nothing, so we'll do just that. Eventually though, more units get a bit closer, and some of the infantry come over to attack, but actually in the top left you can see most of the enemy infantry went to attack my ally, meaning a lot of this battle is going to be happening off screen. I'm dealing with a very diminished enemy force in front of me, while my ally is just being annihilated. That's a shame, but I guess that's just the way it ended up. I should have told my ally to just retreat or something if I wanted this to not happen. We still have issues with the fact there's skirmishing stuff everywhere, but we do also have wargs in this battle, and wargs are fast enough easily to catch up to these retreating units and force some melees. That's nice. Here's a great charge from the enemy. Some Rohan riders go around all of my stuff and slam into that random isolated unit of archers. Game recognizing game, that's just good play from the AI. Nice job. Here you can see I'm trying to help my ally by rushing over here to engage all of these random units around the place. The enemy are also in complete disarray with no formation, meaning it's easy for us to attack them. However, they've already pretty much slaughtered our ally. We've lost more than half of our stuff in the allied group. The good news is that once we get close to them, they just rout. Like right there, we saw several units routing at real high strength. I'm guessing it's Saruman scaring them away. Overall, this battle is won as suggested by the balance bar, but we still need to finish stuff off. It's another annoying post-battle phase, really, where things don't rout. Sometimes units just won't rout until they're all dead for some reason, so it takes a while. I did have a few nasty surprises actually while finishing things off here. I discovered that my wargs, when they rear-attacked this unit of Javcav, they got annihilated. My wargs, that is. I figured that would be an okay fight. I'm not sure what the stats on wargs are, but I guess the answer is very bad, even compared to Javcav in melee. Anyway, the grinds that are going on across this battlefield here and there eventually result in everything routing, and we do win. A kind of anticlimactic battle. We stalked that army for so long and then they just kind of died off screen. Not really sure what happened. Looks like our allies took proportionally a very large amount of losses, but we took out the enemy army and our main force is still decent enough. So, it's time to go. The enemy's counterattacks have been defeated and it's now time for us to go back on the offensive and push Rohan out of the region for good. Remember, the objective in this campaign is to destroy Rohan. So there's no point trying to negotiate peace or something now that we have an advantage. We need to wipe them out completely and then see what's going on, decide if I can be bothered to keep playing the campaign, etc. Anyway, that is it for this part. Join me next time to see how this offensive goes, and we'll check out a sneaky move Rohan make that catches me off guard.